Troublesome Times. Unscripted, unedited, all done in one take. Because it's so easy, right? Since everyone else has a podcast, I might as well have one too. Hi, what's good? Um, you're probably wondering, where is Jack Wonderland Frost? This is probably not somebody that I'm familiar with. Hi, I'm Rosa Estrellas. And I am always been this. This has always been the name I've gone through. My family's always been calling me this for as long as I can remember. But the people that know me, my friends, and I guess extended friends, people that know me long enough that I can consider friends, they call me something pretty closer to the name. So, but that's as far as I can remember. I always did get mixed up with Rosanna Pansino, but my name isn't Rosanna. It's a really long name, so that's kind of why it was always shortened to Rosa. And so for the longest time I've always wanted to be called that, but most people can't really pronounce it correctly. So I figured, why start now after 2 years, and why haven't I changed the name, doing a rebrand? Well, first of all, I really do like the name Jack Wonderland Frost. I think it really adds a lot of charm to it. And the other reason is that I the state I mean I still want to make it a stage name. I think it's the closest to it. Thing is, everybody loves to go by Star in English. So I didn't want to announce it right away because it seemed like if I did announce my full stage name, Rosa Estrellas, people would have thought that this is kind of like some kind of midlife crisis change. But, so I figured at the beginning of 2026, I'd announce it for sure. I like it. I think it's the most me that I've ever been. And, and another thing, I thought there is another thing I was gonna do, which is the commentary. I thought that I'd give that kind of a test run to see how most people would adjust to that, because normally for the first podcast 2026, I would recap all the videos, but seems like a lot of them do kind of hit, especially Anyone Can Act, because I think that's probably I wouldn't say it was my most grandest video. I'd say it's probably the one where I really, really, really had to step up with the acting a lot. So it was I think at that point, I remembered at that point that this was the ending was the very, very last thing that I recorded. And I don't want to spoil anything too much in case anybody does decide to watch it, but at the end, most of it is unscripted, but I was running out of time for the schedule and for the final scene where and then we get to probably the ending, which a lot of people were moved by, and so a lot of comebacks to you. I know this is usually a sign for something, but it's way too early to do that, to announce anything yet. But if I get impressed enough, maybe I'll see something, a follow up will happen. Okay, right now I am drinking Propel Lemon Blackberry. Don't worry, I spent the majority of my day drinking water. I think it's very interesting because this is the quietest Courage has ever been. So, this is why I'm usually very careful with how I present myself when I'm near Courage, because sometimes Courage will, my dog, she will act up and get really frightened because she thinks there's someone else like haunting the house or something. I feel really bad. And I don't really feel like moving her anywhere else because because she rules the house. It seems like she's the favorite, and I don't want that to change. I mean, dogs are dogs. What can I do? She's something. It seems like she's always there, but she has never done me wrong. If there's any stranger that I'm unfamiliar with, I do trust Courage. Like, even though she may seem like just a dog to most people, but she's pretty helped me out quite a lot in a lot of ways right before I did became like a public online figure of some sort. So, yeah, it's kind of I guess it's pretty off-putting to some of you because um I mean, I did say I was very southern. I'm from the South. I grew up in the South, and I let my natural voice shine out. And I do the southern accent shows, but it's also kind of weird because the southern sounds a lot like a valley girl. So I know some people were thinking, "Oh, that what is that cringe valley accent thing that Jack Wonderland Frost is doing?" No, that's Rosa Estrellas, the real actual voice, which is why I do lower the pitch because it seems like a lot of people don't realize I am adult. I am adulting. I do adulting in an adult place in adult life sort of thing. So yeah. Um it's gonna be kind of hard because I know it's gonna kill some people that I really do sound like this. And they do that fakey cutesy kind of thing, and I naturally sound like this. And that makes me kind of sad, to be honest with you, because people that really love you should love how you sound, regardless of how you are. And yeah, that's one of the things that's pretty hard about the being a female in a male-dominated field is being seen as a legitimately talented person and not relying on looks or anything. And so I guess that's I didn't realize how much of a people were actually finding out all the places I was going, and I didn't think that a lot of people were going to be interested in the places that I found. They did find the places I ended up finding. I guess that's what I get for trying to support small businesses. It makes it easier to find. Yeah, so that's why this podcast, the new podcast of 2026 is pretty late because instead of just being in my house, in my bedroom, in the house in the middle of nowhere, doing the exact same thing, I actually went out today and, oops, pardon. I actually went out today and when just, I've been in the house by myself for about a week, and today has been the longest I have been dressed in my nicest, and it's been I wish I could have shown more, but it's the holidays, so it's it was the holidays, so I guess I missed out on the good stuff, except not really because everyone else get to check out all the good stuff. I was actually pretty blown away by how many people really were buying all the good stuff. Like, I've never seen that. The most shock to me was box lunch because I remembered going there for the first time. And I guess it really broke some of your hearts because the very tall and the very blessed people could not fit in the shirts that they really wanted. They looked really nice and all, but they were not. It was not meant to fit them, or not in a way that was very flattering or comfortable. So that has changed a lot. That was the one store that actually blew me the most. And when I went inside, a lot of people had actually agreed with a lot. They pretty much had the same thing that I was actually thinking, and it's nice to see that kind of change. And then another place, there's a place I like to go to. It's the ice cream place. It, it's like, I don't know. I know Ben and Jerry's is also like a franchise, but I only really know it from the grocery store, the ice cream section. But this ice cream store is pretty bomb. I like it. I've never had anything to complain about it. I'm just that weirdo that loves to have so much stuff mixed in together, which is probably why I love Asian food in general, because it's just they somehow make vegetables taste so good. All the sauces with the vegetables I much love. What can I say? Um yeah, so I was actually very surprised how many people and not only found the places there but then ended up going there, and I am very, like, I'm glad you guys had a pretty good time. Um I will say I don't want to spoil it too much, but if you guys don't you guys gotta keep your cool because there's a good chance now we might have some plenty of friendly visitors soon. And as much as I'd love to be invited to that kind of event, I think a lot of you would enjoy it more than I would. I actually really don't. I know I'm beating around the bush. That's because I got so much to catch up. We'll catch up on this one later if I definitely remember. But I will say, like, it does surprise me because you don't really get a lot of high profile people around. And so I think it's been very nice that, plenty of people were like, they like it. I think we got a lot of good stuff around here. We just got to find all the good places to go. And, I don't want to say too much more because I think it's kind of weird, like, being that person that, those, they're still doing fireworks around here this late, right after the celebration's over. So, as I was saying, let me see. See, I had it. I had it. No, not really. That's the one thing. Oh yeah. Okay. So I guess that's the one of the most surprising things about being an online figure in general is that I really was lucky to be an online figure because most of the people I know, don't want to be like as well known. They don't Yeah, they don't want to be well known. The people that I know and are friendly with and pretty close to, they don't want to be known, or they just have an inferiority complex, meaning that they think that I'm too good to be around them, which kind of makes me feel bad because I am one of those people that do and had hated everything about myself. I guess what's really changed and something that may be addressed soon is that, a lot of people, what I guess the thing that really started helping changing is that a lot of people around this area, they do like my stuff. They do recognize me somehow. And then it's like I never thought. I think that's the best thing about being an online figure. I mean, I've always been that person that's an introvert, as you could describe me. I'm just want to engage as little as possible unless you have an animal or you're into animation. And I think the best part about being an online figure, in my opinion, is just knowing that I had uplifted someone in a way that Robin Williams has uplifted me. And I think, in my opinion, the worst thing you can do as an online figure or any sort of celeb is to just let your fans down. Even if you don't really consider them a fan, like, they kind of are in some way because they kind of like you. I mean, I guess for some people, my definition of a fan is pretty flexible. But I'd say that, if you like me, you're a fan. I consider you a fan because I don't know why. I mean, I know hate watching is a thing. I don't know if maybe that's a reverse Uno fan or guilty pleasure, as I'd like to call it. I mean, I say guilty pleasure is kind of I'll take you. I'll take you guys. Like the guilty pleasures. Yeah, so as I was saying, I really do think that the guilty pleasures and the fans, like my definition of that is that you don't really have to like know everything about me as long as you really really enjoy my stuff and you're like, yeah, this is good. Like I say that's kind of like a fan cuz like I don't get like people's idea of a fan is just watching everything obsessively and you have to know like everything about them. I mean that's there's being a fan and then there's just like parasocial and I think parasocial isn't really like being a fan. That's kind of like something else entirely, like a bigger issue that's been unaddressed. But I like a fan is pretty some, and I'll take the ones that are like guilty pleasures because I think it's like kind of a balancing. You kind of need. It's kind of weird. I guess for one thing, I'm kind of my own biggest hater slash bully. So if I do have them, I don't think they could really face me because I am the biggest one. I'd probably be the leader of that side if I really could. But I another reason I guess I'd consider you guys guilty pleasure team guilty pleasure team fans frosties. Guilty pleasure frosties as I call you. I guess like it's kind of weird because I know a lot of people would not like the idea of. I guess most people. It's kind of weird. It's very weird. I know. It's very 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 weird. Like I said, I've never pretended to be normal. Maybe I try my best to be down to earth, but I don't act like that I'm better than everyone else or normal. I don't think that's ever possible. So I guess I would say it's a little weird, right? I guess I'm gonna be that weirdo that it's weird because most online figures would absolutely hate the idea of anyone being a hater. Like in their own perfect little online figure world, everybody would be a giant mega parasocial borderline level fan, right? But it's kind of, to me like I don't like I don't actually dislike the guilty pleasure people or the bad side people. I don't dislike any of you, believe it or not. It's very very hard for me to dislike people in general. I think like the only way I could really dislike you is if you're like a bigot or if you are pretty don't dismissive and or cruel to animals and all that and the kitties. But other than that, like it's like so I guess extreme like for extreme reasons I'll dislike you, but other than that, I don't. It's really hard for me to dislike people. I think I always try to find the benefit of the doubt in people. So it's a pretty long-winded. Yeah, sorry about that, but I have to say that I really do think that I actually do appreciate the guilty pleasure frosties as much as my fanatic frosties. Cause I think you like the ones that are doing the guilty pleasure, the reverse Uno of fans, Frosties. I think you guys are pretty helpful in a way because while like the ones that are getting paid to do stuff for review that they get personal benefit out of it. So a lot of times they'll go with whatever the popular opinion says or whatever versus like the ones that are actually watching for real and giving their takes and it's like just ain't feeling it or whatever, right? We have that person that's like that. That's gonna dedicate their entire spare time to just finding something that was imperfect about your craft. And then I'm just gonna be here like, thanks for letting me know, so I can just step it up next time, and maybe like, yeah, I need you. You're kind of like the quality check, like the free quality check. Like you don't get any benefit other than you cared enough to really just point out everything. I mean, I seriously do appreciate that. I mean, that's being real with me. I think, people that love the best and the worst of it. I mean, I love that you guys care enough. Like, so it sounds kind of weird. I know. Like I said, it's pretty weird, but I really do appreciate all of you. So yeah, it's kind of weird because I know like there's this community like they're kind of like the boogeymen of the internet people, right? And so I think I remembered one of the things I did was like just trying to like I guess I could say like I'm not gonna pretend that I'm above that kind of sphere, but I like I said, like it seems like those are the kind of people that I can really like, I'll hear out their takes even if a lot of it does derail a lot. And I know eventually one of them will eventually be like, well, this person's probably being performative and all that. And maybe in some way we are. That's kind of that's kind of like a dilemma about being an online figure is that if you act normal, if you're, hold on, if you're like, if you go over the grand things, you'll be like, you'll stand out, people will really like it, and you'll draw in people and attract an audience, get appeal and all that. But then then the guilty pleasures, people say that'll get performative if you overuse that. But then if you act normal, some people would like that kind of relatability and low key vibes or whatever, like somebody that I really am tired of hearing 1 a.m. every night. I mean, very amazing thing to fall asleep to naturally. I guess like that would be a great bedtime story, but to fall asleep to, but not for me. But then the guilty pleasure people would say, the guilty pleasure team would go, "That's boring." I mean, what could I say? Um, like I said, I you know, like I like to just. It's kind of weird. I guess it's a kind. Yeah, it's interesting, right? It's interesting that I think I probably am one of the few that does like to read and find out things just to out of curiosity and all that stuff. I know it's kind of hard. I really was going to start off talking about myself, but I try to avoid that as much as possible. It's kind of showing right now. Because I'm like, I'm kind of like just sharing my feelings about how everybody like share like things about me, and it's probably gonna be like pretty something else. Oh boy, so I actually was gonna. Okay, so anyone can act very moving, very great, and whatever, right? So that I think that should open their eyes to a lot of stuff. Maybe they should try and do their comebacks too. Otherwise, you're gonna get the peak quality actor, and anyone can act, right? As far as people, the normies can tell. Oh, man. After a while, kind of funny because I know like it's kind of weird. I look back at I don't. It's kind of it's interesting looking back at these podcasts, and I'm just admitting to what I'm drinking at the moment, and then I'm kind of realizing I'm starting to say that I drink water more often. I guess that would be the biggest difference between me now and me 10 or 15 years ago is that I would have never believed that I would be drinking water at all. Like, I seriously never found the use for it, and I always tried to avoid drinking water. It eventually caught up to me. And yeah, a little back on the ice cream gag. Yeah, so that was really interesting, right? Cuz I was going to talk more about the character, which is separate from the Rosa Estrellas, but Jack Wonderland Frost is a fictionalized version of me, so it's not really going to matter anymore at this point anyway. So, I guess now is a good time to say everything that I've shared about myself as Jack Wonderland Frost is real. The main difference is what I told is downplayed because most people can't stomach everything that has happened to me. And people have been surprised. I have overheard them say, I am surprised that she has not complained as much as she should with everything she has been through. And I guess like yeah, it is. Like you're right. Like I hear you. I understand. And the thing is just like there's only so many times you can do that, and then you eventually realize, you got to do something to get anything done in a better way. I'm just that person that eventually, like, you know what? I just want things to get better. I might as well just do something to make it better. Cause I guess like, if you guys are laughing, I'm glad you did. Cause at least, we'd stop crying for a minute or two. Even if I did had to be vulnerable and had to share downplayed fictionalized accounts of my life that most of you couldn't stomach in the real world. So I guess this is the good part where I do bring up the animation stuff. I really, really am committed to it. I mean, don't think for a second that I'm not, because I tried. It's very hard. It's very, very obvious. The one thing about me is that animation is such a huge part of me. Like, I really like it. I want to know so much about it. And the thing I decided to do was to see like how many like is well one thing, yeah, is there something worth learning about? Yeah. And it's kind of weird because I am gonna share this in the poetry book I have, but it's interesting that my dream job I wanted to have, I learned to do everything on my own. I have self-taught myself everything but to animate. And that is because to animate in general is an expensive hobby to do. And I don't know if that'll ever change in 10 or 20 years. I mean, I'm squeezing my fist as I'm saying this. I do not know if that will ever change in 20 or 30 years, but I really hope eventually it does. And when I say that I have taught myself everything, I mean everything. I have voice acted. I can do all sorts of voice impersonations. I can write a creative story because I've taken creative writing in my academic career 3 times. No joke, maybe 4 or 5 if I'm really counting anything pre-high school. I have learned how to edit videos, and I mentioned how, and that was literally to fit in a community full of teenagers that were fans of Danny Phantom. And I have learned how to use social media because I was trying to figure out how to spread, like, because I learned that, it's so easy to get all these views and all this in. I learned how to do all that. I actually seriously learned how to promote my own social media accounts by actually engaging in the social media. I have learned how to draw in art class. I can draw like all various kinds of cartoon characters because I had no idea as a child this dream job I wanted as a child. I'm still squeezing my fists within my hands as I'm saying this. As a child, I seriously had no idea that the main difference between animation and art is that animation is a series of pictures that move within each other. I taught myself how to draw something in some way, how to do that. And one reason I did join TikTok, which I did not mention yet, was to seriously find out and roast on a tracer. And one of the greatest TikToks I've ever made was drawing Bugs Bunny as close to his original counterpart as possible. I've taught myself how to do that. I've also learned how to edit with sound and audio because a lot of that is added to for comedic effect and to set the mood and tone in the videos. I have done pretty much everything else except how to animate the actual thing that will keep the viewer engaging. But the joke is, you get animation consists of a lot of things, of a lot of factors, and a lot of talent that it is severely underestimated to do. And I did not expect to really get this emotional as I was saying this. But I guess this is very telling how this is something I do notice too, that the reviewers and the animators online are pretty divided with each other, because the animators do lack a lot of substance that does not carry to a mainstream whatever. There's no appeal for it. The reviewers are trying to tell them this because they're reviewers, they're viewers first, and then they obsess over this thing and take their time to write down and share their thoughts and make it into a video, which is what I'm kind of doing right now and have been doing for quite a while. And yet, they don't listen, and they don't ever want to listen, because anytime anyone ever does, they get other people to fight their battles and intimidate them long enough that they end up just retracting everything they say just to get the whole backlash to end. And this is something that I find very troubling indeed. And something I have personally witnessed with my own very eyes very recently. And this is kind of why I'm a little unsure if they're actually mentally prepared to be part of this so-called genre that they may or may not be in a part of. I am seriously digging my fingers and squeezing my fist in my hands as I'm saying this. And I think that's the kind of the main issue, is that nobody really knows how to get along. And that's kind of why people aren't really taking, animation seriously as a whole. But I am doing my best to find ways to make them, this is actually worth study. People, and that's another kicker. I know, I'm already going long enough, way longer than I should. And this is the thing, a lot, and I mean a lot of people are very interested in this. I mean, pretty much, no, everybody is interested in learning about the history. They've had no idea how possible that there was a history. They want to know. And the ones that do want to know, almost all of them want to be part of that. They want to be, part of it matters. I guess that's what happens when you've grown up with this kind of thing with the childhood. So, I have to be very careful, when to time this and all that. I'm seeing this thing form. And I'm telling you, it's not going to be fun having to pick out who's going to be the spokesmodel or the spokesperson or the poster boy, poster girl, whatever, right? And I know I can't do all this alone. That's a fact. It's too much for one person to handle. But at the same time, I have to be very, very careful in how to go through all of this. I'm telling you, people really, really want to know. I probably want to know it just as much, if not more, than all of you. And it's very interesting because I have been paying attention to how many people really want this to be a legitimate study so bad that I can personally tell how people are, it's very interesting, right? I can really tell, because believe it or not, being open about your interest in animation, It's going to be very hard for a lot of you to understand, probably now, but this was a stigma to be open about your interest in animation. The 80s kids got severe backlash and had to hide their interest in animation. The 90s kids also got stigma, but were able to be open about their interest in animation behind closed doors, but in public, they had to hide their interest in animation. The 2000 kids, they may get some stigma or backlash about animation, I'm pretty sure, but they are able to be open about their interest, and not having to deal with the backlash as bad as we did. And if they were it's been so supportive of that community that are like-minded. That's the thing, we really didn't have that kind of like-minded community. I mean, the internet was not really a thing. The dial-up was a thing when I was a toddler, and I think like the 80s kids, they were like in middle school when the internet was a thing. I might be completely wrong about that, but I do know this. I just remember like, I remember being asked, do you really want them to deal with the same backlash that you did? And I said, no. I would never want anyone to deal with what I have. And it's true. I really don't. And it's right. I mean, I'm telling you, like I am telling you this. I'm telling you, there is so much potential in learning about animation, and there is so many people that do want to know. And I really am surprised how many. And I guess since I kind of hinted at him earlier, I might as well bring him up. Otherwise, then it's and because I don't want to end up hearing so well. It's just an anticlimactic thing again. And I forgot. This is unscripted. Okay, last minute thing. So I guess this is very interesting, right? So, a very interesting character, as we call him, Machine Gun Kelly. I really did not. I guess it's kind of a surprise. He's kind of like he's a real surprise thing. And whenever I have to talk about Machine Gun Kelly, I really do have to downplay a lot of things about him too, because a lot of people are unaware that this is a real person, and most of them cannot digest the full character that is Machine Gun Kelly. Like, he has become kind of a side character, and the funny thing is, I do know about the whole story, but and this is true, and this will be mentioned in I'm not gonna spoil yet. This will be mentioned later on. I am neutral on that particular beef. Okay, that's the bombshell. I don't hate either the OG and the Machine Gun Kelly. If you know, you know. You pretty much are gonna know what I'm talking about. I was not. Well, I guess I'll be straight up. I am not. I'm pretty neutral about the beef, okay? I'm not a giant hardcore fan of Eminem, okay? I don't hate the Eminem, okay? His music is good. Like, he is a good rapper, okay? I wouldn't say that I'm, like a fan. I don't think I'd call myself a fan, even though I technically even though I did listen to every single one of his albums, okay? It's just, I prefer Ludacris. It's, there's people that I like I said, he's just, I have my own reasons, and I guess I would say, like, my reasons really is that I just think maybe it's kind of a little bit, I guess the best way I can describe it, it's overcompensating. Like, sometimes it can go on, like, I could say it's a little bit long-winded overcompensation, as we'd say. It's not bad, but there's these moments that make you like turn your head a little, and I'm not going to act like Machine Gun Kelly is like suddenly better than Eminem. I'm not gonna say that, because I'm technically, I'm I'm not, I don't know if I'd consider myself one. I don't say I will. Here's the thing. I didn't really remember him because of that beef. Okay, I wasn't really fully invested into that. The truth really is that I listened to Avril Lavigne. Like, I'll say I am a fan of Avril Lavigne if I'm allowed to. And he was in her latest album. He was featured in it. That's how I remembered him. And so then I remember. Then when I eventually dived into the whole, reviewing all of his Eminem and his music and his albums, I kind of realized that's the guy that actually got Eminem's head spinning. Now that is interesting, and it's kind of weird because it's, I guess the best way to describe, like, the Kells, as I'll call them, is that, I will say this: the difference about the M&Ms and the Kells is that the Kells are surprisingly tight knit. Like, I pretty much said I do not hate the music, which is true, because I've heard much worse. So we can stop saying, or we can stop believing the rumor that if you hear all of Machine Gun Kelly's music, you will die. I am actual proof that that is just a rumor. It's false. I have heard every single album of Machine Gun Kelly's music in one day, and while watching anime. And the music was better than the anime. Absolutely true. As Rosa Estrellas, and eventually may bleed into Jack Wonderland Frost, into something more downplayed and funnier. Unless the Kells want me to keep that as it is. But, so I am a little interested in this whole thing, because I'm kind of wondering, maybe there is a lot more that this whole thing is not telling about. Like I said, like, I will say, like, there is no lies. There's everybody's truth. Sometimes what you think is the truth is one-sided. So I will say, so yeah, so I guess, like, if we get the man to show up around here in about almost June, well, hope you enjoy the area. It's pretty bomb. Okay. That went on way longer than I expected. Love that. Go me. So much stuff on my mind, and there's so much to go. I really did not need to recap my whole video. I was like, who wants to do that? I mean, I know why I did it, because the first year, like, nobody was really watching. But a lot of people were watching. I mean, do I really need to do that? I mean, your guys are pretty much would have said, oh, well, I already saw it. You don't have to tell me what I already saw. That's wrong. Don't do me dirty like that. Don't recap something I already saw. No. It's like, okay, I got it. Okay, see, I do give something new every once in a while. I do give something new. I try my best. See? Yeah, and I guess, damn. Oh, man, this is, I guess, like, the last thing that was gonna surprise people the most, because I guess I'll bring this up now. Yeah, so it's very interesting because in a male-dominated field, instead of hiring actual women to be women, sometimes they will dress up like women to be female characters. Yeah, pretend to be female characters. But, so, I guess, like, this shows my sense of humor, that what if, like, we did the opposite? And no, this is not shade at anyone that is not cisgender. So don't take that as shade, okay? I support all my flexible genders, the the transgender men, the transgender woman, the non-binaries, the anything else, and the cisgender men and women. I support all y'all. So no. This is not shade at that. So please don't twist that. Okay, you're valid. All of you are valid. Your gender, your fluidity, all that stuff. You guys are valid. This is not me shading anyone that is cisgender, okay? Okay? No. Let's be real. We thought it was a great idea that in the 90s to 2000s that males pretending to be females, to be female characters, was peak comedy. Okay? I mean, well, I guess the only one I did the best is Robin Williams as Mrs. Doubtfire, but still. But yeah, so so I have a sense of humor, and I thought, what if I try to do the reverse Uno, which is I sort of ambiguous, being the female in the male-dominated field. So, trying to hide my my womanhood, as I'd love to call it. Oh my god, I just know I can kind of recall my friend saying, "Yeah, no, that's pretty much not like you at all." And shoot, this is kind of why I don't really. It's kind of a good thing that they are not heavily associated with my work, because I already know that they would be like, yeah, Rosa Estrellas is just, just being, just doing the self-hating right now, and probably would have curb stomped me metaphorically for doing the self-hating and bully me to stop self-hating. But so there was I can't hide being female. Okay, as a cisgender female. And the thing I tried to hide the longest time, and that eventually got it revealed, is that which I really don't like to bring up, because I really did notice that, when you're blessed as a female, it's kind of hard for a lot of people to make eye contact with you in a lot of ways, and I really did try my best to hide it. It's really not as fun as you guys think it is, because it's very noticeable. Everybody, you have to wear a size or two more than you actually are, because if you don't, it makes your blessings, your blessed womanly charm the most noticeable about you. And I'm demisexual too, so that's even better when you see people differently. And you're most people would say you're very blessed in as the most woman you can be. I don't. That's not right. And I guess a lot of people are catching on about that. So I eventually had to reveal that, because I kind of, it would explain a lot why it's driving people crazy. Or maybe I just have a great personality. I really hope it's definitely the latter, please. There's only so much that being blessed can do for you in the looks department. So, yeah, this is definitely, I kind of realized that, the way I have been, I took the fact that it took me this long to reveal that part, that I was very blessed as a woman, in that way. Yeah, and I think that should tell me everything I need to know, that I really want you to I really want to, to be loved for the personality, no matter how bold and brave it can be. So yeah, that was Troublesome Times. It was so easy. Anyone can do it. And I just did it again. Way longer than necessary. So, Happy New Year. And stay safe. And, alright, so, bye-bye.